who's partner at Sahayak Associates. An alum of IIM Lucknow, he has a very enriching as an investing experience of over 30 years. He is also a motivational speaker and has authored two is the topic of today's session. So please join us in welcoming our very, very special guest for the morning.
It's very overwhelming to see such a distinguished audience on a Saturday morning to listen about money. I think money is a very interesting topic, and I think it's something which we all are very keen to know about. So let's start the journey, and I hope I am able to do justice to the wonderful crowd which is here today. You know, Mark Twain once very famously said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble, but it's what you know for sure that just ain't so." You know, we all assume that we know a lot about money, but actually it is not so. You know, we are in the wealth management business. We meet hundreds of people, hundreds of investors, and let me tell you, across gender, across age, across wealth level, people are making these same money mistakes. And let me assure you, even we make the same money mistakes. If I was not making those money mistakes, possibly I would have not been here today morning. I would have been sitting in Goa or in Bahamas or somewhere and enjoying on the beach. We all make these money mistakes because we assume a lot of things about money, which actually are not true. Oscar Wilde said, when I was young, I thought that money was the most important thing in life. Now that I'm old, I know it is. And actually it is. Money is actually the most important thing, whatever we may think. It is what helps life go on. Somebody made a statement, and it's one of the most profound statements I have ever heard about money. Money is not the most important thing in life, somebody said. And the other person cried, make sure you have enough of it before you speak such nonsense. And actually, this is something which is true. So what my MBA did not teach me about money, we're going to be, this entire presentation is going to be divided into these 6 sections. Role of money in your life, how we think about money, what my MBA did not teach me about finance, what my MBA did not teach me about markets, about investor behavior, and the common money mistakes that we make. So role of money in your life. This I think is the role of money. This song wonderfully says it all. तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई शिकवा तो नहीं, तेरे बिना पर जिंदगी बीत लेकिन जिंदगी तो नहीं. Actually, that is the role of money. And why do you need money? Again, this is a wonderful doha by Rahim, which says that without having wealth, it is difficult to face problems. Just like a lotus would get charred by the rays of the sun without water below it. So that is actually why we need money. So let me ask you, what if money was no object? What if money was no object, what would you do? We actually had once conducted a survey. What if money was no object? What would you do? Anybody? And then we got some very interesting replies. Some of the normal replies like, I'll follow my passion, I'll leave my job, I'll enjoy, I'll go on a holiday, I'll do this, I'll set up, I'll expand my business. But what would you do if money was not a problem? If money was no object, then what would you do? One very interesting answer that we got in that survey was, at least I'll stop thinking about money then. अभी तो सारा टाइम मैं पैसे के बारे में ही सोचते हैं. कि कैसे, how do I grow my business? Do I have enough for my children? Do I have enough for their education? I need to buy this new car. Do I have enough for that? So if money was no object, what would I do? Money is actually about what? Money is about choice. Money is not about wealth, about richness. Money is about choice. It is the choice which it gives you to do what you want to do. If I have sufficient money, I'll spend more time with my family maybe. If I had sufficient money, maybe I'll be writing, more books. Or I'll be speaking more to audiences like this. I'd love to do it. But I also need to feed my family, so I need to do something else. So money is actually about choice. It gives you the choice to do what you want to do. Why is wealth important for you? You know, these are some of the answers that we got actually. To ensure that you live a comfortable life, for the sense of security it offers, the power of choice it gives. I think that is the most important. The chance to give your children opportunities you never had. The confidence that you can live in dignity or luxury. A sense of achievement and status. The ability to help the less fortunate. And the sense of power it gives you. Yes, it also gives a sense of power. You know, you feel blessed, you feel, yes, you are privileged. You know? And what's the point of getting wealthy anyway? If you have money, you don't have to worry about it, like I said. One of the most important things. Money can give you the freedom to pursue what you love doing. And money can buy you time with friends and family. You know, that is why money is important. And so that we can stop thinking about money. You know, what is wealth? There's an old saying, some people are so poor, all they have is money. So would you rather be rich or wealthy, and what's the difference?
So we discussed about that if you have money, you don't need to worry about money. But would you agree that if you have more money, you have to worry more about that?
See, that is the unfortunate part. What should wealth actually do for you? It should help you stop thinking about money. But I've seen so many people, the more wealth they have, the more insecure they are about it. That is the unfortunate part. You know, wealth should help you feel more secure. But no, it doesn't happen that way. It helps people, you know, there are so many instances I can give you. It helps people make more insecure, be more insecure. And why it happens, that also will come to later. Why doesn't money make us happy? You know, that is the basic thing. Why doesn't money make us happy? That we were trying to answer. You know, as you spend more, the pleasure that you get out of spending keeps on coming down after a point. What happens is when you start spending, first you spend for survival, then for comfort, then for luxuries. You know, then you reach a point where the more you spend, the pleasure that you get is much lesser. So you reach that fulfillment curve, and that fulfillment curve is different for everybody else. Everybody. You know, for you it may be different, for me it may be different, for somebody else it may be totally different. So that fulfillment curve, that is why after a certain amount, spending doesn't make us happy. You know, we actually don't get that same feeling. You know, then there's something called the mimetic desire. You know, this is something wonderful. If you look at this figure below, you know, all of them, the problem is that if we only wanted to be happy in figures, it would be easy. But we want to be happier than somebody else. I want to have more wealth than Mr. Mehta. Mr. Mehta wants to have a better house than me. You know, somebody else wants to have a better wife than me. That is how it works. So we don't want to be happy. We want to be happier than somebody else. I want to have more. It's not that I want to have wealth. I want to have more wealth than somebody else. You know, that is where the problem starts. You know, and we are all on a hedonic treadmill. You know, this is how it works. We see something, we want it, we want to buy it, happy, and we adapt to it, then we want to buy something better. मेरे पास गाड़ी नहीं थी, मैंने गाड़ी ली, उसके बाद एयर कंडीशन गाड़ी चाहिए, फिर SUV चाहिए, फिर एक, you know, I need वो 5 टंडों वाली गाड़ी चाहिए. You know, that is how it keeps on going up. We don't get satisfied. We are on that treadmill, it keeps on rolling. So that is why actually money doesn't make us happy. And money is actually a goal, money is the means goal, not the end goal. You know, money, like we said, money is a way to something. It is not the end goal. You can collect wealth pennies at a time, but when you depart, you cannot even take a loin cloth with you. That is actually the truth. Money has to lead to something. Money cannot be the final goal. And how much money is enough? Being in the wealth management business, I can tell you, whatever is your annual expense, 30 to 40 times of your annual expenses is enough money. It will help you live a life of comfort, maintain the same standard of living for the rest of your life. If it is invested well and parked somewhere which gives you a return which is better than inflation. But how do we think about money? See, our problem is we think about money very, very differently. There are two ways that we think about money. One is a financial perspective and one is a human perspective. This entire book is about the different perspectives of money. See, when we are at work, we make we make decisions which are very, very organized, structured. When we want to do something, we want to expand our business, we do a viability study, we'll do a cash flow, we'll do every kind of thing, and we'll ensure that every penny is well spent. That is something called the financial perspective of money. But when we are at home, and we want to do something, we don't take a very organized decision. We don't take a very calculated decision. मैं गाड़ी खरीद लूंगा चाहे उसकी EMI अफोर्ड कर सकूं कि ना कर सकूं. Why? Because my wife is telling me to do it or my children are telling me to do it. I want to move to a bigger house even if I can't afford it. I want to go for a holiday. Why? Because somebody else has put an image on Instagram and I want to ensure that my image also comes on Insta. So we don't make and we spend that kind of money. So we make a very human decision. And how do we think about money? All of us, our habits about money get formed in childhood. Since childhood, we get attuned to money. We see what is happening. Like for example, when we were growing up, one very common thing which we were told, if we asked for something was, sorry, we can't afford it. That was a very, very common thing. Possibly this generation may not be used to it, but we were told that, sorry, we can't afford this, तो आपको ये नहीं मिल सकता. So we grew up thinking कि बहुत अगर अफोर्ड कर सकते हो ना तभी लेना, अदरवाइज नहीं ले सकते. और अफोर्ड तो हम कर नहीं सकते, राइट? तो लेना ही नहीं है वो चीज. So that is how our habits about money get formed. I tell you, I don't know whether society takes inspiration from movies or inspiration takes movies take inspiration from society. I don't know about that. But movies tell you a lot about how society thinks about money. In the 40s, 50s, in 1957, this movie came called Naya Daur. Now, in this movie Naya Daur, there was a bus company which became the villain. Why? Because that bus company came into town and all the tongawalas, they were out of business. So, कोई भी change जो ला रहा है, वो एक villain बन गया. So money, that is how money habits happen. Then you look at all these movies in the 60s. What happened in the 60s in all these movies? Mudle Azam, Sai Bibi Ghulam, Waqt, Aradhna. What was the relationship of the hero with money? And what he considered money, that is how we got attuned to money. Then when later, when Roti Kapda Makan came, what happened? कि उसमें क्या था? Basically एक simple फंडा कि बेटा पढ़ लिख ले, नौकरी मिल जाएगी ना, सारी दुनिया की प्रॉब्लम खत्म हो जाएगी. But does it happen that way? Then this wonderful movie came called दीवार. उसने एक डायलॉग ने पूरी जनरेशन का एटीट्यूड मनी की तरफ बदल दिया कि मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, सब कुछ है, तेरे पास क्या है? मेरे पास माँ है. So माँ is the most important. भैया पैसे वैसे की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. So money was not important. And who had the money at that time? If you look at it, if you look at the 70s and 60s, who had the money? The smugglers had the money. The evil zamindar had the money. He had a munshi, वो सबको लूटता रहता था, वो सबसे इंटरेस्ट वसूल करता रहता था, और इंटरेस्ट रेट यूज्ड टू बी crazy, and he used to the जमींदार used to वो सारी जमीन जो है वो हड़प लेता था पूरे गांव की. सो जो पैसे वाला था वो चोर था. पैसा किसके पास था? स्मगलर के पास, जो वैट 69 पीता था और सेफ में वो पैसा रखता था, निकलता था, और उसके ब्रीफकेस होता था जो एक्सचेंज करते थे अगेंस्ट गोल्ड. दैट वाज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ मनी. सो वी ऑल थॉट यार बॉस पैसा इज नॉट जरूरी. एंड माँ बाप क्या बोलते थे? बेटा पढ़ लो, लिख लो, पढ़ लोगे, अच्छा पढ़ लोगे, नौकरी मिल जाएगी, सारी जिंदगी बहुत आराम से निकल जाएगी. और डायलॉग क्या था? पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे नवाब, खेलोगे कूदोगे तो होगे खराब. That was the attitude to money which that generation had. which our generation had. You know, so this is how it went. Then slowly when 1991, if we come to 1991, when liberalization happened, you know, economic liberalization happened, sorry. You know, when 1991 economic liberalization happened and, you know, Karan Johar and Yash Chopra and all those movies started coming, and suddenly you found that the hero was comfortable with money. You know, hero was traveling in a Mercedes. The Mercedes shifted from the villain to the hero. Earlier, who had the Mercedes? The villain had the Mercedes. The Mercedes shifted to the hero. You know, suddenly that comfort came with money. In Dil Chahta was, I think, possibly the first movie in which the hero, they were very comfortable with their money. It was just taken for granted. You know, that is how our association with money or relationship with money evolved. That is how we started thinking of money. And then finally, Bagban came, which told us, like for my parents, I am the retirement plan. But that is how it was. But Bagban came and told us, ki boss, children cannot be the retirement plan. They have their own plans, they have their own goals, they have their own priorities. So if you put everything, if you are dependent on children, then you are going to have a bad time. So you need to think about retirement. Then came Three Idiots, where he said, you must follow your passion. If you follow your passion, then everything will happen. Success will come, money will come, everything will come. Then finally this movie, which told us the excesses of money. You know, so movies helped nurture the kind of attitude we had about money all along. So, and now in 2019, starting from in the 50s, on the 15th of August, the Prime Minister from Red Fort, what did he say? You know, wealth creation is very important. It's a great national service. You know, and pehle kya hota tha, in the 60s and 70s, the income tax which used to be paid was 90%, 95% at times. And today, and wealth creation was business wala to chor hai. That was the kind of general thing. And today the Prime Minister is saying wealth creation is something that we must encourage. It's a national service. Let us never see wealth creators with suspicion. So the entire thing has changed. Wealth creation has become very important. Wealth creation has started taking priority. This is how our attitude towards money has changed over the years. Talking about what my MBA did not teach me about finance. Two aspects, numbers and risk. We all think we know numbers. You know, but actually we don't understand numbers. I'll give you some examples here. You know, basic numbers that we all look at. CAGR, compounding, rule of 72. You know, this is we always talk about real estate. कि यार real estate में बहुत अच्छी return आती है. Somebody says कि boss मैं 10 लाख का घर खरीदा था, आज वो 5 करोड़ का हो गया. You know, and he's making a comparison without understanding कि boss the return that he's got as a percentage possibly is much lesser than the return he would have got somewhere else. Like this typical example of Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, unfortunately he's not here. You know, his mother used to keep on pestering him all the time that you must buy a house. So he bought a house, he bought a house in Malabar Hill in 2004 by selling 27 crores worth of Trisel shares. So some time ago, around 2 years ago, he sold that same house for 48 crores. You know, and his mother said, see, I told you na, कि देख तूने कितने का लिया था आज कितना हो गया. तो इसे माँ अगर मैंने वो शेयर रखा होता ना वो 300 करोड़ का होता और 50 करोड़ का डिविडेंड भी मिलता. But what are we comparing? You know, we don't see the actual return. I'll show you in percentages also. You know, this is real estate versus gold versus equity. We don't understand numbers. That is why I'm showing you this. Now, this is typically I've taken a 500 square yard plot in Chandigarh. In 1980, it was worth 5 lakhs. Today, possibly it is around 7.5 crores. You know, the CAGR in real estate is what? If you had bought that 5 lakhs to 7.5 crores is 13.14%. It has grown every year. And equity in the same period has grown at 16.33%. You take any period, equity will always beat real estate. But हम compare नहीं करते. हम तो एक एब्सोल्यूट फिगर लेके एक एब्सोल्यूट फिगर के साथ बोलते हैं कि 5 लाख का लिया, आज 7.5 करोड़ का हो गया। भाई अगर कहीं और डाला होता तो क्या हो जाता? There's this famous story which is actually true of the Wipro MD and his driver. I'm sure some of you have heard it also. You know, Wipro के MD थे, उनका ड्राइवर था एक। तो 1980 में when Wipro shares got listed, you know, so he told his driver that you buy shares worth 10,000. His driver had sold a piece of land. He told his driver that you buy shares worth 10,000. You know, so driver went and said, okay sir, आप जैसे बोलते मैं कर देता हूँ। तो he bought shares worth 10,000. You know what is that 10,000 worth today?
400 crore.
Anybody? 400 crores somebody said.
506.
506 crores. You know, it's actually worth 1,000 crores.
This is Infosys story. No.
It's a Wipro story. It's not the Infosys story. I'll share that slide also later if you want in the group. And the dividend that he gets every year from that is around 8 crores a year. So how do you compare? The driver wanted to buy a piece of land in his village at that time. So if he had bought that, what would have happened? You know, power of compounding. Actually, wealth creation happens through the power of compounding. As they say, money is always eager and ready to work for anyone who is ready to employ it. You know, the magic of compounding. This is again a very interesting story. In 1626, you know, the island of Manhattan was sold by the Indians to this gentleman. And he just gave them $24 worth of goods for it, not even in cash. And today you may feel that $24 तो बहुत सस्ते में ले लिया उसने, पर अगर वो $24 उन्होंने इन्वेस्ट किए होते at a 8% government bond, you know that amount would be around 26 trillion today, which is more than the total real estate value of Manhattan. So we don't understand numbers. We think numbers बहुत सस्ते में ले लिया, बहुत महंगे में बेच दिया, ऐसे कर दिया. But when we start calculating, when we actually get down to numbers, we realize कि boss, it is not difficult at all. I'll share the presentation in the group. Anybody wants to use it? You know, let me ask you a story. I think maybe some of you have already done it. Let's say अगर मैं आपके पास आज एक ऑफर लेके आऊँ और बोलूँ कि there are two options that you have. One is take 1 crore rupees from me today. A second option is take 1 rupee. And that 1 rupee is a jadoo ka rupiya. It will double every day for 31 days. What will you take?
Second option.
Second option. Wonderful. Right? Let me start. Now this is what happens. When it starts doubling every day, on the 15th day, it is 16,000 rupees. 16,000 रुपये वो 15वें दिन. अभी भी लेना है? अभी 1 करोड़ लेना है कि ये लेना है?
Second option again. यही लेना है.
Somebody is saying second option. Anybody with the first option, please? 15,000 रुपये भाई. Yeah.
कुछ भी ले लो.
Wonderful. Great. On the 20th day, it is 5 lakh रुपया.
This guy made my day.
20th day it is 5 lakh. Still, what do you want? Now 20th day पे 5 लाख है. How much do you think it will become on 31st day?
Simple arithmetic.
Simple arithmetic ठीक है. कितना हो जाएगा 31st day को? डबल हो रहा है अभी. Stop calculating and just answer. You know, I made this presentation at ISB once. So they took out their laptops and started calculating immediately. But still, not very many of them were right anyway. बहुत कितना हो जाएगा? चलो अभी तो 20वें दिन पहुंच गए हम.
100 crore.
100 crore. Anybody? 60 crores. Anybody else?
It will be much larger, sir.
Now on the 23rd day it is 41 lakhs. On the 25th day it is 1.67 crores.
200 crore.
So on the 25th day you actually beaten that 1 crore. Right? 27th?
Around 32 crores.
It is 107.67 crores. Right? What I am trying to just illustrate is that boss, we don't understand compounding. And this is how compounding happens. Let me give you another example. See, let's understand. This is a very easy way to understand it. You know, a 12-year malt costs $35 or 35 pounds. And just look at what happens as it starts aging. You know, a 50-year malt costs 25,000. आप 12 साल से 50 साल में 35 पाउंड से 25,000 पाउंड. That is how compounding happens. You know, there's this wonderful rule of 72. I don't know whether how many of you know about this rule of 72. This rule of 72 says 72 divided by your return is the number of years it takes for your money to double. You know, let's say you park your money in an FD. Right? The money will double in 12 years. Let's say 6% FD, money will double in 12 years. Let's say you park your money you invest it in equity. You know, you get a 15% return, your money will double in 5 years. And why am I saying a 15% return? From 1980 till date, 1979 when the Sensex was founded, it was at 100, today it's at 60,000. Right? It's given a 16 point odd CAGR. Let's say a 15% return. For a 15% return, your money will double in every 4.5 years or so. That's for a young person, for somebody, anybody, a young person who starts his career at 25, you know, and he works till the age of 60. For a 35-year period, you know, in 35 years, if he parks his money in an FD in the first year of 1 lakh, a 1 lakh FD if he takes in the first year, right, in 35 years it will become what? 1 ka 2, 4, 8. It will become 8 lakhs. That is assuming that the interest rates remain the same. But if he parks it in equity, what happens? He is doubling every 5 years. You know what will happen when he starts doubling every 5 years? Anybody wants to calculate? The kind of difference, now this is the difference in wealth creation. You know, every 5 years it doubles. 5 साल में 2, 10 में 4, 15 में 8, 20 में 16, 25 में 32, 64, 128. तो एक तरफ 128 हो रहा है और एक तरफ 8 हो रहा है. That is the difference in wealth creation. That is all, nothing else. There is no jadoo ki chhadi, nothing. If I as a wealth manager come and tell you that I have a jadoo ki chhadi and I'll make you rich overnight, it's all bullshit. It will take time, only time will help you create wealth. And understanding risk. You know, we all assume that we understand risk. That I know what I am doing and I know what is the risk I am taking.
Excuse me, can you explain that rule of 72 again?
So 72 divided by your return is number of years it takes for your money to double. You know, there are 3 things about risk. One is risk capacity, one is risk preference, and one is risk ability. Risk capacity is, you know, let's say I can take a risk today because I have enough money lying with me, so I can invest 5% of my corpus somewhere and I can take a risk. There's somebody else who's a young man who has no emergency fund, who has nothing, so his capacity to take a risk is much lesser because he has nothing to, you know, if he takes a risk, he'll end up spending all his money and he may lose everything. So that is what is risk capacity. Risk preference is what? Risk preference is, even if I have the money, you know, it depends whether I want to take the risk or not. Some people don't have the capacity. You know, there's this wonderful gentleman called Morgan Housel who's written a book called Psychology of Money. It's one of the biggest bestsellers on, you know, in the last maybe 3-4 years. It sold more than 2 million copies. I think personal finance pe shayad ye pehli bestseller hai. Now he is somebody who understands money, he knows everything about money. You know, but in one of his talks he said, "Ki boss, my asset allocation is not more than 50% equity." He said, why? Because he said, I can't bear the volatility. So his risk preference is such that he will not invest more than that in equity, which is a very volatile asset class. So that is your risk preference. Risk ability. What is risk ability? Risk ability is, you know, do I have the ability to take the risk? Do I have enough knowledge? Do I have enough learning? Do I understand risk so that I can take that risk? So there's a difference between the 3 things. You know, I'll tell you, this is a wonderful magazine, Economist. I try and read it and I feel that, you know, this is the Bible truth, whatever they say. Now they come out with a forecast every year in January. You know, forecast of what next, like they every year January they come out with a forecast. So they should be able to predict, you know, the economic risks which are going to be there in the coming year. Now in January 2020, they were not able to predict COVID and the impact it will have. on the world. In January 2022, they were not able to predict that Russia will invade Ukraine and the kind of impact it will have. So can anybody do forecasting? Boss, nobody can do forecasting. It's impossible to forecast. If they can't do it, who else can do it? Now this is again a wonderful example. You know, there's an author called Howard Marks. He's written some wonderful books. So he talks about the real risk. You know, there was a gambler who used to lose very regularly at the races. तो उसको मालूम पड़ा कि एक बार एक रेस में सिर्फ एक ही घोड़ा दौड़ रहा है, तो अगर उस घोड़े पे पैसा लगा दोगे तो वो तो जीतेगा ही जीतेगा. Right? So he put all his money on that horse. So what happened? That horse did not complete the race and he ran off midway. So actually he lost money. So could you ever anticipate कि this could have happened? He thought कि बस मैं तो बहुत अच्छा किक कर रहा हूँ, सारा तो श्योर शॉट विक्ट्री है. तो कई बार श्योर शॉट विक्ट्री जो होती है ना वो भी इसमें बदल जाती है. So risk is not in the markets. Actually we think that risk is in the markets. Risk is in greed. When you choose to speed up instead of slowing down, that is risk. You know, we'll come to that later when we come to the behavior part. What are the basic emotions which drive our money decisions? So greed is one very basic emotion. And what happens is we take a lot of risk. You know, each person takes his own risk. Do not copy what your friend is investing. I'll tell you, it's like there was one slide which I think has got missed out. You know, in a pond of water, you know, in a pool of water, there's a giraffe who's taking a dip. Now that giraffe is telling the other people, come on, don't worry, it's not very deep. Boss, तू भाई, तू कहाँ पे है, हम कहाँ पे हैं यार. तो इसलिए if somebody tells you कि भैया invest कर ले, कोई risk नहीं है, तो his funda is different, yours is different. Please try to understand that. Don't try to follow anybody else. Right? So that is what it is. So what my MBA did not teach me about markets. Now this is something very interesting. Stock markets. Everybody wants to invest in stock markets. And why do they want to invest in the stock markets? Is to make a quick money, quick buck. कि बॉस ये बता यार, अच्छा टिप दे दे यार. You know, हम जहाँ पे जाके किसको भी मिलते हैं ना, तो बोलते हैं बॉस what do you think मार्केट कहाँ जाने वाली है? You know, that is the first question. अच्छा क्या होने वाला है मार्केट के अंदर? भाई मुझे भी नहीं पता. Let me tell you what will happen in the market in the next 1 year or 2 years. Only two people know. One is God and the second is a liar. वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं. किसी को नहीं पता अगले 2 साल में क्या होने वाला है, अगले 5 साल में क्या होने वाला है. यस, मालूम है, बता सकते हैं कि क्या होने वाला है. क्यों बता सकते हैं वो भी बताता हूँ. पर अगले 1 साल में, 2 साल में, शॉर्ट टर्म में क्या होगा, nobody knows. You know, Warren Buffett says price is what you pay and value is what you get. I won't talk much about valuation because I think there are a lot of valuation experts here. You people keep on valuing companies and investing in startups and all that, which actually I don't understand, but still I think you people understand that better. So I won't talk about price and value. But assessing valuation is like buying vegetables. Can you compare two vegetables? There's one vegetable which is, you know, at 1 rupee and there's another vegetable which is at 10 rupees. So how do you compare the two vegetables? You can't compare it. So even buying stocks is something like that. You can't compare this stock is at 5 rupees and that is at 50, so why is it? You know, it shouldn't be like that. It's not like that. What happens when you invest in equity? This is something that you need to understand. You know, what happens when you invest in equity? Essentially, you buy a share in the business. Price that you pay is for share of earnings, you know, which is calculated by the price earnings, and share of asset, which is calculated by price by book. I'll tell you a simple thing. Let's make it very, very simple. Boss, आपने कोई भी business खरीदना है. Let's say there's a restaurant which I want to buy. So how will you buy that restaurant? You know, let's say somebody tells you कि boss ये restaurant बिक रहा है, मुझे restaurant खरीदना है, and you always wanted to buy a restaurant. So you may possibly look at two things. कि what is the kind of money which this restaurant is making? Let's say that restaurant is making 50 lakh rupees a year profit. So for that, I'll pay 10 times the earnings. So I'll pay 5 crores. Or I'll look at कि what is the total value of assets that that restaurant has. Let's say the total value of that assets the restaurant has is 2 crores. So I'll say okay, I'll pay 2 times the value of the asset. That is how we do it. Similar it is in the stock market. Price earning क्या है कि profit कितना बना रही है कंपनी, उसका कितनी बार का मल्टीपल देना है मैंने. प्राइस में बुक क्या है कि उसके एसेट कितने और मैंने कितनी बार का मल्टीपल देना उसका. So it is very, very simple. It's no rocket science. but we all make it rocket science. There are different kinds of methods of valuation. I'll not go into those details. But essentially, let me tell you, what are the four legs of the equity market? Any market is based on these four factors. One is valuation and earnings. See, basically what happens when equity market works on very, very simple principle. In the long run, only one thing matters, and that is earnings. कि इस कंपनी का प्रॉफिट कितना है, अगर प्रॉफिट बढ़ रहा है तो उसका प्राइस बढ़ना चाहिए. It is as simple as that. I think there is nothing else. In the long run, I'll give you some figures also which will show that the markets increase at the same percentage as the increase in earnings. But in the short term, what happens? These factors come into play. Sentiment. जैसे हम कहते हैं कि बाजार में तेजी है तो मैं उस चीज के लिए ज्यादा पैसा खर्च दूंगा. जब मंदी है तो कम पैसा खर्चूंगा. Interest rates are high. When interest rates are high, the demand for money will come down, right? So automatically I'll start paying a lower multiple. When interest rates are low, I'll start paying. Money is easily available. Liquidity, like what happened in 2020 and 21, the central bank for printing money, interest rates were virtually at zero. So there was enough money floating around. Now that money was chasing what assets? They were chasing equities across the world. So the price of equity went up to some crazy valuations. So that is what is happening. So these are the things which affect in the short run. But in the long run, only one thing matters, and that is earning. This story of a man and a dog is a wonderful story which illustrates. It was written in this book called Lion in Zebra Country. So उसमें क्या है? It is like, I'm sure a lot of you have a dog and you take the dog out for a walk. So what happens is when you take the dog out for a walk, तो वो कभी आगे भागता है, कभी पीछे भागता है, कभी कुछ जाता है, कभी किधर जाता है. But finally वो आपके पास वापस आता है. And you have the dog on a leash. The dog can go only as far as the leash will allow it to do. But meanwhile he can do whatever. So the markets are also like that. Markets are also just like that. Markets will be only governed by earnings. In the short run, it may run here and there because of earning होगी, उतना ही market का valuation होगा. Market कैसे बढ़ती है? एक earning से बढ़ती है और एक multiple जो होता है. See, like this is the 26 years of CAGR of Sensex. आप देखेंगे जितना Sensex बढ़ता है, उतना उसका EPS बढ़ता है. जितना EPS बढ़ा उतना long term में क्या हुआ? Sensex is drawn by 11.29%. Sensex EPS has grown by 9.15%. EPS is earning per share. The earnings of the Sensex companies have grown by 9% over the last 26 years, and the Sensex has grown by 11%. But in the middle somewhere, they've gone up and down. So if in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we feel the economy will do well and the companies will do well, so automatically the market will do well. Like I said, in the short term, it is sentiment, liquidity, news flows, emotions, rumors, all those kind of things. Long term, only they're driven by profitability. And there are ways to measure macros, there are ways to measure sentiment. There are scientific ways to do it, which is, the people who make algorithms and all that, they use all these factors. Liquidity. And these are the macro factor analysis. These are long-term market P, market PB. So what we see is, okay, if they are below long-term averages, we tell everybody to buy. If they're above long-term averages, we say, okay, it will be slightly risky. That is how calculations are done. Then there are qualitative issues before you buy into any company. Governance, visible profitability and growth, leveraging, they should be internationally competitive. So all these factors are considered when we buy these companies. So we come to the next part of my session, which is what my MBA did not teach me about behavior with money. Everybody behaves differently with money, like what we said earlier. Everybody has a different kind of a behavior with money, and our relationship with money is governed by all that. I'll tell you this story of Somnath Temple. This is a wonderful story. If you remember, in the 4th century, Somnath Temple was built around 4th century AD. 600 years later, Muhammad Ghazni invaded Somnath temple and he looted Somnath temple. अब वहाँ पे riches कहाँ से आए? उस टाइम पे कोई बैंक नहीं होते थे, कुछ नहीं होते थे. So people used to come and store their money, their wealth, gold and other, whatever they had. They used to come and store it in temples, assuming that temple में कोई चोरी नहीं करेगा. That was the basic assumption. So people used to come and store it there. Muhammad Ghazni came to know about it and he came and raided that temple. उसने रेड किया, सब कुछ ले गया. अगले कुछ सालों में he raided that temple, I think 7 times or 11 times or something. 17 times. He raided that temple. Now if he raided that temple 17 times in the next 10 years, so that means what was happening? The people were still going and keeping it back there only. भी लोग भैया एक बार लूटा गया तो वापस जाके वहां पे मत रख, घर पे ठंडा गोद ले, नहीं वहीं पे जाके किया. और एक बार नहीं किया, 17 बार किया. बाद में आई थिंक मोहम्मद गजनी डाइड, अदरवाइज 18 बार भी होता. What happens is we do things out of habit. A habit we've been ingrained with, that is how we deal with money. My father used to do an FD, so I also must do an FD. It's as simple as that. It's become a habit. If something is being going on for generations, I need to carry it forward. Without understanding whether I'm doing something which is right or wrong. But that is how people behave with money. That is how people take risk. They don't want change. What is basic investor behavior? One is greed and fear. We are all governed by greed and fear. हमें लालच होता है कि यार वो बॉस, इस बंदे ने तो बहुत पैसे कमा लिए, मैंने नहीं कमाए, तो I must get into it. So we start getting greedy and we start putting our money, or we are afraid कि यार ये तो मार्केट क्रैश कर रहा है, मेरा सारा पैसा डूब जाएगा. Now fear is of two kinds. One is that fear of loss, and second is what? Fear of missing out. Now this is something new which has come in. FOMO. Fear of missing out. अभी एक और fear आ गया. अभी क्या करते हैं लोग? वो इन्वेस्ट ही नहीं करते. Why? FOBO. Fear of better options. भाई, तो ये fear खत्म नहीं हो रहा. Then there's another thing. YOLO. You only live once, so you must enjoy it to the maximum. Right? So there are new kinds of things which are coming in, which are affecting your habits with money. FOBO, YOLO, FOMO. Then something is called confirmation. What happens? We all form a hypothesis. We all form a hypothesis about something. Then what do? We go to Google, we ask our friends, and we listen to advice which confirms that bias. Which is a confirmation bias which is there in everybody. सब लोग क्या करते हैं कि हम वही इंफॉर्मेशन ढूंढते हैं जो हमारे बायस को कंफर्म करती है. टू रीअश्योर आवरसेल्व्स दैट व्हाट आई एम डूइंग इज राइट. मैं बहुत अच्छा कर रहा हूं और मैं बिल्कुल ठीक कर रहा हूं. सो दैट इज समथिंग व्हिच वी डू. देन दिस इज समथिंग ऑफ कोर्स स्किल, आई विल कम टू इट लेटर. बट व्हाई डोंट पीपल लिसन टू गुड एडवाइस? Even when you go to a doctor, you have a problem, go to a doctor. What does the doctor tell you? Doctor tells you दारू मत पियो, जंक फूड मत खाओ, सुबह सैर करो, ये मत करो. हम कहते हैं हाँ बॉस अभी तो प्रॉब्लम चल रहा है, जब तक फीवर है तब तक तो वो करूंगा, एंड जब तक वो मेरा बीपी कंट्रोल में नहीं आता तब तक तो सैर भी करूंगा. उसके बाद क्या होता है? मुझे मालूम है कि अगर मैं ये चीज करूंगा तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम होने वाली है, बट आई स्टिल कंटिन्यू टू डू इट. Similar thing is with money. We all know that we need to spend less, we need to invest more, need to invest in the right kind of products, but we don't do it. पंजाबी में ना एक कहावत है कि रब नेड़े के को सुन. Right? कि what happens? The urgent takes priority over what is important. What is immediate? Immediate takes priority over what is important. What is giving me immediate pleasure? Having an extra bite. What is giving me that immediate pleasure? Not getting out of bed in the morning. Right? So what happens? I don't take wise decisions. Whether it is related to health or money, it's the same thing everywhere. This is something which we don't understand. In business, possibly we do it. That is the financial perspective of money. But at home, we will not do it. When we take personal finance decisions, we don't do it.
Is it because we lack structure at home by and large?
No, we are driven by emotion, sir. It's more important to please my spouse and ensure there's no fight.
Right.
वो नहीं तो मेरी जान खाएगी कि भाई तू छुट्टी पे तो नहीं चल रहा है. वो लोग तो जा रहे हैं, मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ.
Home or business, both, some kind of accountability is there anyway.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, and there are, people are very lucky who can ensure that you follow the financial perspective at home also. But it doesn't happen that way most of the times.
You know, I think behavior is very hard to change.
Yeah, it is very hard to
It's
change.
very, we overestimate the effort that need to change our behavior.
Yeah, it is very difficult to change. And how does behavior get formed?
Habits over time.
Over time.
Your
attitude.
childhood, your parents, all that puts together.
And how we've been, see, somebody who's faced money issues during childhood, who's seen financial problems during childhood with his family, his attitude towards money will be totally different from somebody who's never seen any such problem. So yes, that is how our attitude starts getting developed. That is how it happens.
See, today's time, the awareness makes us sometimes not believe the doctor
Yeah.
if he is out of shape himself.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Yaar, kya mere ko preach kar raha hai?" So I think this is coming with time.
Yeah, it's coming with time, true. So that's what it is. And next thing, generally how do people consider or make a choice? We want to be in our comfort zone. We don't want to take risk. We want assured returns. And what Mr. Jain is doing. Mr. Jain is like what Mr. Jones is doing abroad. So Mr. Jain is doing in India. So what Mr. Jain is doing. वो कर रहे हैं तो मुझे भी वही करना है. So it's something like that. Generally when people come to us for any investment advice, how do they approach that? Where is the market headed? That will be the first question. How much money will I make? How much return will I get? Where should I invest? Which is a good mutual fund to invest in? That is the step-wise process which an investor follows. First question always invariably is, अच्छा market कहाँ जा रहा है? क्या होने वाला market में? मुझे return क्या मिलेगा? That is, and what should be, how it should be? It should be what is your financial goal? That should be the thing. How much do you want to invest to achieve that financial goal? What is your investment horizon? What is the return that you can expect? What is the corpus you want to create? That is the right structure to follow. But लोग करते क्या है? भैया return क्या आने वाला है? That is the typical thing. And the role of luck. People misunderstand the role of luck. I'll say it is very, very important. There are three kinds of lotteries that you can get. One is a biological lottery, that you're born into a rich family. That is one lottery. Second is a lottery that you earn. That you buy a lottery ticket and you get a prize. And third is a chronological lottery. When you are at the right time, at the right place, and you do something. Warren Buffett says that if I was not born in the US, and I was not investing in the 60s, and I was born in Africa, would I have been as rich today? No. Boss, in India today, let me tell you, and I'm not a BJP, Congress, AAP spokesman or any such thing. In India today, we are on the verge of a chronological lottery. The amount of wealth which is going to be created in the next 5, 10, 15 years is something you can't even imagine.
Previous slide. Previous.
Sorry. Oh. Boss, I think I'm getting it all wrong.
Only showing that you're moving ahead.
You're investing in debt too much.
Thank you.
The kind of money that will be created, the kind of wealth which will be created, is going to be unimaginable. I'll give you a simple example. At the time of independence, India was a $14 billion economy. It took us 60 years to become a $1 trillion economy. We became a $1 trillion economy in 2007. The next trillion came in 10 years, in 2017. The next trillion came in 4 years, 2021. The next trillion is come in 2 years, 2023 will be a $4 trillion economy. The trillions are being added faster. Now we are going to be doubling that in the next 5 years. So the kind of wealth which was created in the last 75 years is going to be created in the next 5 years.
Is there a correlation with the value of money actually?
No.
Trillions of ठीक
No.
वो अपनी जगह. That's one.
No, sir. I'll tell you why it will happen and how it will happen. You know, but that is the kind of wealth which will be created. So everybody, I think all of us, it's up to you whether you want to be a part of this wealth creation journey and start your investing, or you want to contribute to that wealth creation by paying your taxes. So just pay your taxes and then somebody else will get rich.
But that credits, it's a very simple, same compounding that you talk about, that if India is growing at about 8 to 9%, it should then, double accordingly.
Yeah.
Every cycle of that doubling, it should double. Right?
Yeah. And what happens, why we say this also is, see, when an economy moves from, let's say, a 3 trillion to a 5 trillion or a 6 trillion, the important thing which happens is that the per capita income moves from $2,000 to $4,000. And that $2,000 per capita income is what? $2,000 per capita income means $8,000 for a family, is 6 lakh rupees a year, is 50,000 rupees a month. 50,000 rupees a month is subsistence. Roti kapda makan. And when it becomes $4,000, what happens? When it becomes 1 lakh rupees a month, what happens? That extra 50,000 does not lead to increase of roti kapda makan by 50,000, by 10,000. Then you start spending more, you start saving more, you start buying brands, you start eating out. Just a minute, sir. You start spending more. Discretionary spending increases. Let me share a example with you. In China, when they were at $2,000, the air conditioning penetration in China was 14%. Today, when they're at much higher, but when they became $4,000, the air conditioning penetration had gone up to 70%. Discretionary spending goes up, you start buying, things, air conditioning becomes a necessity. In India today, we're at 13% AC penetration. Please don't go and buy a Blue Star or a Voltas share today, but that's just for illustration. I don't know whether Blue Star will do well or anybody else will do well, but that's just for illustration. That is how it happens. Sir, please.
The wealth creation is going to be 80-20 only then also.
Sir, no, we're getting into a totally different topic, but see, I'll tell you something, I'll give you an example of that, sir. Do you know how many scooters, how many two-wheelers do we sell in a year? How many two-wheelers do you think we sell in a year? We sell around 20 lakh two-wheelers a month, 2.5 CR a year. Now tell me one thing, in the next 5-7 years, what are those two-wheeler guys wanting to do?
To buy a car.
Right? So that is what is going to happen. Yeah, sir, please.
Sir, if the salary increases or whatever the income increases from $2,000 to $4,000, inflation also affect that?
Yes, it will. See, but what we are also assuming is that the rate of growth is more than your rate of income growth is more than the rate of inflation. I'm sorry I don't have a slide here, but I can tell you that from 1990 till today, the incomes have grown at a much faster rate than your expenses have grown. That slide is not there with me.
Sir, sorry. Sir, inflation is approximately, I think so, 12% or maybe 15%.
No, that is 12-15% is lifestyle inflation. अगर आपने iPhone 14 लेना है तो 15% inflation है. वैसे तो basic inflation 6% 7% है.
Right. That's an average.
क्या ये गवर्नमेंट के जो फिगर्स हैं आपको लगता है उनको एग्जैक्ट आ रही है 6%?
Sir, it depends on what you are consuming. But if you look at the basic, I'll tell you for example, petrol. Like let's talk petrol, which everybody consumes. Right? In 1990 till date, the rate of price increase of petrol is not more than 4% or 5%. CAGR. That is what we were talking about numbers. हमें लगता है सर 4 रुपए से 100 रुपए हो गया. 4 रुपए से 100 रुपए हुआ, but 30 साल में हुआ, तो अगर आप उसका CAGR कैलकुलेशन करोगे 4% की ग्रोथ किया. So that is what it is. Today, why are we not bothered about inflation? पहले 25 पैसे रेट बढ़ता था पेट्रोल का, तो हड़ताल हो जाती थी और स्ट्राइक हो जाती थी. Because the percentage that we spend on petrol as a percentage of our income is much lower. It is negligible virtually. If I'm earning 1 lakh, and spending 2,000 rupees on petrol a month, it doesn't matter. 2,000 दे रहा हूँ, 1900 दे रहा हूँ, 2100 दे रहा हूँ, फर्क नहीं पड़ता, इसलिए कोई शौक नहीं मच रहा.
Is it because common man has just started to understand it better, or
No, they started earning better.
Is that all?
Yeah. Your percentage spend is coming down on that particular thing.
BJP are the center, that's why.
No. It's nothing to do with. Sir, let me tell you, in the next 5-10 years, now the economy is on its own momentum. As long as they don't come and impose communism or something with us, कुछ नहीं होने वाला. उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ने वाला. This is something which is very important, sir. हम सब सोचते हैं कि लक का कोई रोल नहीं है हमारे उसमें, बहुत ज़्यादा रोल है. A lot of people mistake skill and luck. And typically what happens, in 2020, a lot of people made money in stock markets. They were sitting at home, they were free, there was a unilateral run. Markets went up, everybody thought. जब भी तू अच्छा होता है ना, सोचते हैं यार मेरी अक्लमंदी है, मैंने अच्छा किया. It is my intelligence. पर जब भी तू बुरा होता है, तो यार मुझे उसने misguide किया. But what we do is we misunderstand the role of luck. It is very important. Like I said, you have to be born at the right place at the right time and be at the right place at the right time to invest. Today, however intelligent I may be, if anybody was investing in 1930, कुछ भी करता तो पैसा जाता. So what are the common money mistakes? I think I'm overshooting my time. This is the most common mistake which everybody makes. कि दुख में सिमरन सब करे, सुख में करे ना कोई. जो सुख में सिमरन करे तो दुख काहे को है. It is like invest when the going is good. Don't wait. Invest now for a rainy day. Another mistake that we make is that we don't discuss money matters in the family. Money is the most important thing we say. But हम फैमिली में डिस्कस नहीं करते. हम बच्चों के साथ, बच्चे अगर पैसे की बात करते हैं, यार क्या यार तुम पैसे की बात करते हो हर टाइम. हम पैसे की बात नहीं करते. I can tell you families, I can tell you people, I can tell you couples, they spend more time discussing which movie to go for or which restaurant to go to than they spend discussing money and what to do with their money and where do they want to reach with their money. Once we were in Gurgaon and we went and met a young couple around 35 years of age, both very well educated, working in blue chip companies, both from the very good institutions. तो उनने बात की थी. Lady, she had called us and she said, I want to discuss my personal finance with you. So we said, wonderful. So we met her. She said that we want to start a family, so we want to just get our finances in order. We said, great. जब उन्होंने पूछा कि अच्छा, okay, what do you do? And so she said, okay, our joint income is around 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees a month. We spend around 2.5 lakh rupees, and we have an EMI of some 70,000-80,000 for the flat that we live in. So we said the balance, we want to do something about the balance. So we said, okay, what are you doing currently? So she said, we have around 50 odd lakhs lying in my saving account. So we said, boss, why? So she said, I don't know. So I said, still, there must be some reason. She said, the only reason is that we don't have the time. That we're working, both of us are working 5 days, 6 days a week. 7th day, Sunday, we are too fagged out to discuss anything. And we've always been wanting to do it, but we've just not been able to do it. And they are the people who understand numbers, who understand money, who understand the options which are available, the risks which are there in each option, but still, that is how a normal average person does. And it happens all the time. That is why we say that, everybody makes the same money mistakes. It's not that it is, nobody actually discusses money matters. Tell me one thing, once I was doing a session for a group of managers in the financial services industry. So I asked them, okay, what is your financial goal? So actually they did not have a financial goal. As one person stood up and said, he was around 25, 26 years. He said, I want to buy a Mercedes. I said, wonderful. Great. How much do you think a Mercedes costs? I don't know, sir. When do you want to buy it? Soon. How much will it cost when you reach soon? I don't know, sir. How much do you need to invest to reach that soon? I don't know, sir. And they are the people who are in the industry. We actually don't put numbers. And the root cause is what? Incomplete knowledge. Isn't it strange that we talk least about the thing we think about the most? जिसके बारे में हम सबसे ज्यादा सोचते हैं उसके बारे में बात ही नहीं करते, आपस में डिस्कस नहीं करते. You know, when we go and meet people, the first thing we ask them is, what is your financial goal? So they say, good education of our children. I want to save for my children's education. Wonderful. How old is your child? Yes, 1 minute. How old is your child? 5 years. So how much do you think an education will cost? I don't know. How much does it cost today? अभी 15-20 लाख. आपके हिसाब से कितना पैसा चाहिए? 50-1 लाख. How much do you think an education costs today in a good college? In an IIT or something, I think it's 25-30 lakh rupees a year. How much do you think it will cost 14-15 years down the line when your son becomes eligible? I passed out of school, St. John's, in 1980. You know, at that time, the annual fees in St. John's used to be what?
$100 a month.
500 rupees a year, 40 rupees a month. And when my son passed out, how much do you think it was? 60,000 rupees. And tuitions. I did my MBA, the total fees over 2 years what we paid was, I think, 2,000 rupees a semester. 8,000 bucks or something. Today it is what? 25-30 lakhs. That is the kind of inflation. But are you planning for it? No. People are not putting a number to it. Biggest financial mistakes. Not having a financial goal, not quantifying it, not having a budget. You know? No financial plan. तो financial plan है ही नहीं. Let me tell you, मेरा भी नहीं था 5-7 साल पहले तक. So
That's encouraging.
Very encouraging.
not following the basic rule of budgeting. You know what does an average person do? He says income minus expenses is equal to, just 1 minute, so sorry. Income minus expenses is equal to investment or saving. What does an intelligent person, intelligent investor do? Income minus investment is equal to expenditure. कि मेरा 100 रुपया इनकम है, मुझे 25 रुपया बचाना है अगले for my future, for my retirement. And I can only spend 75. Especially north में तो क्या होता है? अच्छा 100 रुपया इनकम है, 110 खर्चा. आगे चल. 10 तो बाद में दे देंगे. You know, this is the normal rule for budgeting: 50-30-20. 50% housing utilities, 30% for your luxuries, saving, fun, for your fun, and 20% saving. People don't follow this rule generally. No financial planning. Role of inflation, like I said. Role of inflation, I'll tell you something. How much do you think? We were doing a study and we were doing a calculation. Now, how much everybody, like health insurance का बहुत awareness हो गया, तो सबने health insurance करा दिया. But the problem in health insurance is that diagnostics are not covered unless you're admitted into a hospital. How much do you think a medical test will cost you around 20 years down the line?
MRI will be 50,000.
Sir, a medical test, simple test, जो है वो 50,000 रुपया होगा. MRI तो बहुत ऊपर की बात है. X-ray will be costing you around 25-30,000 rupees. And let me tell you, sir, Vikram sir, हम भी 25 साल रहने वाले हैं अभी. Times magazine तो क्या बोल रहा है कि 2040 में the man will become immortal and you will die as per your wish.
ये अच्छी बात है यार.
ठीक है ना? उसके लिए क्या चाहिए? उसके लिए सबसे पहले पैसा चाहिए.
टेक्नोलॉजी में कोई ये नहीं है अभी इजी और सस्ती और सिंप्लीफाइड हो जाएगी. एक टाइम to check that you are diabetic or not, it was pretty complicated. Now you get home kits, same with COVID. So why we are not factoring
Sir,
that?
did we
not ignore it? That's all.
I'm not ignoring it. I'm just saying that time we didn't have dengue and chikungunya also. Suddenly we have that also. So maybe more disease will also come in. God and we are always fighting a battle, and God always stays ahead somehow.
And China as well.
And China as well. Yeah, rightfully said. Sir, somebody had a question there. Yeah, please.
So this question of discussing finances with family, especially with kids. So any starting point, how to get kids introduced to the concept?
We've actually designed a session for financial literacy for children. We do it in schools. I'm doing it at St. John's. We will do a session for children also.
And what is the right age for kids to get initiated in this thing? My elder daughter is 10. मैं उससे बात करने की कोशिश कर रहा पापा क्या फालतू बात कर रहे हो? मेरे को टीवी देख रहा
Start giving her a pocket money.
Sorry.
Start giving her a pocket money and make her accountable for that. And suddenly, my son, he started investing when he was 10. Today, his portfolio is okay, decent size, and he's my biggest, most difficult customer. Because he asked me, "Ye kam kyun ho gaya, zyada kyun ho gaya?" Get her interested in money, and she'll automatically start understanding money.
Ask her to play Monopoly first.
Yeah, actually, that's a wonderful thing to do. Monopoly is a wonderful way to educate children about money.
Make my kid play since 4 years. There are many levels of Monopoly. There's the anti-Monopoly.
Not understanding the role of inflation, like I said.
And let them earn their phone. Don't give it to them.
Like power of compounding, I said, power of compounding is something which nobody understands. Because our mind is designed to think linearly, in a linear fashion. We are not designed to think in an exponential fashion. That is why COVID, we could never imagine that COVID will spread so fast. Because it was growing in an exponential fashion. This is another very major mistake which we all do. I will invest from tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. That is again a very big problem. I'll tell you why. Not starting early. This is a typical. This is how compounding works. Now we've taken an example of Karishma Kapoor and Kareena Kapoor. Don't tell them please that we've taken this example. Now Karishma, we are assuming that she was the intelligent one. She started saving when she was 18. And she saved till 25, and after that she quit the movies. And she was investing 50,000 rupees a year. 50,000 rupees a year. Total amount she invested was 4 lakhs. When she was 40, she had 55 lakhs. That 4 lakhs had grown to 55 lakhs. When she was 50, it had grown to 2.525 CR. When she'll be 60, it will grow to 12.808 CR at a 15% growth rate. Now Kareena, she started investing when she was 25, and she invested till she was 62. 50,000 rupees a year for 38 years. She invested 19 lakhs, he invested 4 lakhs. Still when she was 40, the amount it had grown to 27 lakhs at 51.22 CR and at 66.71 CR. Against 12.08, उसने क्या किया 4 लाख टोटल डाला, इसने 19 लाख डाला, हर साल 50,000 डालती रही. But that is how compounding happens.
Krishna got from her divorce, no?
She
was getting that.
But we are not considering that, we are just considering what she had. So, apart from that, right, so what I am trying to say, the benefit of, we tell this to children, to people who just started working, why you need to invest early, why do you need to start investing early. Sir, I'll tell you another thing, I'll give you another example. Now I'm sure a lot of people here already have reached that milestone, but let's say if I was to give you a financial goal, like we at our firm, we have said that our mission is to create 1,000 billionaires in our lifetime. 1,000 billionaires, 1,000 people who have 100 crores. Right, sir? How much do you think you need to invest to create 100 crores?
Depends on where are you investing.
How much do you think you need to invest? Let's say today a 25-year-old, how much do you need to invest to create 100 crores in your lifetime? We have this concept, we've started a concept called the Billionaire Club, in which we tell people to start investing for their children or for their grandchildren. Some people invest for their grandchildren. Grandchild has been born, they invest for the grandchild. How much do you think you need to invest to become 100 crores? 100 crores is a lot of money.
A few thousand.
It is, 100 crores is $12-13 million. It's $12-13 million is a lot of money anywhere in the world.
The question would be in how many years?
In your lifetime, I'm saying.
For a 25-year-old.
25 years old in your lifetime. Let's say when you retire at 65. If you invest 10 lakh rupees and you can get 10 doubles, that means 10 doubles means if you double it every 4 years, it becomes 100 crores. 10 lakh rupees. You start with an investment of 50,000 rupees a month. Right? And you can create that kind of money.
So, but what,
That is how compounding happens.
but what a man will do at the age of 65 or 70?
Sir, that's not the point. The point, sir, at the age of 65, you are assuming and I am assuming. Sir, when we started, the life expectancy in India at the time of independence was what?
32 years.
32 years. Today it is what? 67 years. After 40 years, this young man will be living up to 100. So he'll have another 35 years to go.
With the same wife.
That's his choice. That's not my domain, sorry.
I wanted to remind Vikram sir when he said that he'll become immortal, that the wife will be the same. Become immortal.
Point noted.
So domain,
But your wife will also be.
sir, मेरा domain expertise नहीं है वो. I'm sure somebody has to start up for that. So,
that 100 will become 50 if it thinks otherwise.
see, role of different asset classes. Like I said, FD को अगर आपने किया during the last 43 years. Why am I taking 43 years? This is from 1979 when the Sensex started till date. If you had invested in FD, it would have become 12 times. Gold 53 times. Gold at the time of in 1979 was 913 rupees tola, I think. Today it is around 50,000, so it's 53 times. Silver 69 times and equity 585 times. You know, 100 से 60,000 हुआ. Real estate also, like I said, 5 lakh से 7.5 crore, 150 times. This has become. So for the long term, you need to invest in the right asset class. What is the basic rule of investing? You know, a lot of people invest or save, you know, and they don't understand the basic rule of investing. The first basic rule of investing has to be that any investment has to beat inflation after taxes. You know, don't look for excitement. Find a boring investment. People come to the stock market for excitement. We tell them, if you want excitement, go to the casino. Please don't come to the stock market. The magic wand in investing is the power of compounding. Don't aim for the best return. Aim for the achievement of your financial goals. And the rule of risk optimization. Risk has to be taken, boss. There is nothing in life without risk. If you invest in an FD assuming that you're not taking any risk, it's not true. You're taking the risk of losing your purchasing power. When the return that you get is less than inflation after taxes, you're actually losing the purchasing power. So that is the risk you take. You know, this is. So what in the end we want to say is that you achieve financial independence by saving more than you spend and investing those savings into an area where you get a return which meets inflation post taxes. This is the summary. I'll share the presentation. Anybody wants to. This is a disclaimer we have to give. You can subscribe to our newsletter, Sahayak Times. It's a monthly newsletter. We talk a lot about personal finance. So thank you so much. Any questions? Let me tell you another, I'll just take the question. People, when their income goes up from 1 lakh to 10 lakhs, their expenses go up to 11 lakhs.
Exactly.
Right? So, the habits don't change. Similarly, if you don't have a habit to spend, boss, even if you come across a lot of money, right, still you'll not be able to spend. I know a lot of retirees, they come across a lot of money when they retire, they come across a big coppers. You know, their children are well settled, everything is fine, still they're not able to spend. Habits don't change. Spending habits don't change, money habits don't change. This book that we've written is all about habits, all about money habits. And how money, you know, how we think about money and the mistakes that we make about money. The whole objective about writing this book was to ensure that people make lesser money mistakes.
आपकी पहली बुक भी ऑसम थी.
Thank you, sir.
मैंने उसी वक्त पढ़ी थी.
Thank you, sir.
That too was awesome.
Yes, please, somebody had questions, yeah.
Sir, how
Hi,
to
Sandeep
take,
sir, how are you?
Sir, just Haji, please, sir.
Hi,
Thank
Sudeep,
you.
sir. This is Sudeep. You have given very good insightful, like how the things have been changed from the last couple of decades and how the requirements have been changed. My question is like you have talked about the various asset classes. So is it right way to like put some money into cryptocurrency? I think it's good if you can give us some light on that, because that's also I think going to be the asset class. And more I think youngsters now they are planning to park their money into that. So can you please give me some insightful on the cryptocurrency, if we can park some works on the cryptocurrency, how could be the future of you look into the cryptocurrencies?
Boss, I don't think in the last 2 years, any session I've done where this question has not come up. So every session, this question comes up about crypto. First, let me tell you that crypto is not an asset class. Any asset is backed by something. Like when we say equity as an asset class, it is backed by a company and its earnings. Crypto has, what is the basis of crypto? It has, see, abroad, there's a difference between crypto abroad and in India. Why in abroad, crypto has become a medium of exchange. But in India, the medium of exchange is UPI. We transfer money much faster in India, right, than what happens abroad, even after using crypto. So I am not an expert on crypto, frankly, so I will not like to comment on it, but I can only say that crypto is not an asset class. And if you have to invest in crypto, we always say that when you want to invest in riskier areas, you should not invest more than 2, 3, 5% of your total corpus. Because even if you risk it, and even if you lose all, it doesn't make a difference. So it depends, what is your corpus and what is the kind of spare money that you have, which you should invest. And it's a very volatile asset class. You have to have the stomach for that kind of volatility also before you get into that.
So one last question and
Yeah.
then we
So-
yeah.
Is it really something coming up in next 1 or 2 years?
Boss, recession is something which is cyclical. Any economic cycle has a boom and has a recession. Right? So it's totally cyclical. It is inevitable. Now, whether it will happen in the next 2 years, I don't know. But if you do a study of any economic history, in the last, let's say 30 years, 40 years, there have been cycles of boom and recession. Typically, a recession, an economic cycle is 5 to 6 years. Typically, a recession lasts for 18 to 24 months. And I think we are already 12 to 16 months into a recession. So maybe we have another 2, 3, 6 months to go. So one doesn't know. But I think it's a part of life. Recession, if a recession happens and the markets go down or markets correct, I think they are giving you a wonderful opportunity to get in.
See, recession is not an event.
It's a part of the cycle.
It's a phase.
Yeah, it's a phase.
Like today, some people go through COVID, they don't even realize that they had the COVID. Same with recession. As Deep rightly said it, you are already perhaps 8 to 12 months or a little more into it. And if you are okay, you don't realize. You're okay. Feel some difficulty, but you're kind of okay.
And so
been another 6 months to 12 months.
And the thing is, different asset classes have different cycles. Even in a recession, there may be an asset class which is booming. Like for example, oil is booming. Or a commodity is booming, so different asset classes have different cycles.
Can I?
Okay.
Sir, I am a 54-year-old guy who had been into market, came back, mutual funds. Sometime I invested in shares also, and then came. Not have been a regular investor. So how to get that discipline of investing? Because again, it's a habit formation. So habit formation at a later stage, how to do it?
Boss, you need to consult a good financial advisor who will guide you. See, the role of any financial advisor is not to manage your investment. It is to manage you. So get hold of a good financial advisor and I'm sure he'll help you achieve your goals.
So, very interesting conversation. Topic is so interesting, and the conversation and the presentation, everything was so wonderful. In case you're here, you can.
I've got 4 books.
Okay.
So, this is for anybody who asks the best question. So she has to decide. I'll leave it to the
No,
lady.
so that you will have to
No,
decide.
I'll leave it to the lady.
So that I'm shocked, and I mean you will have to decide, or maybe
But
you
I'd
just give
love
it,
to-
yeah, just give it like
I'd love to present the book to anybody who wants,
it,
to
yeah.
read it. Yeah, please share your numbers and address. I'll send a personalized copy across to you.
Awesome.
But I'll appreciate if you can read it and give me feedback.
I would
Sure, sir. I would like.
Please.
Yeah.
Anjum.
All right, perfect. Okay, so what I will do is, so
I'll send
has
the
4
personalized.
books, yeah, and otherwise then we
Make sure
can.
we
and-
share true feedback.
So what you can do is you can share whoever wants this book can share their names with me. I will request her to share the books with you.
And you can share the presentation in the
The presentation I will share in the groups as well. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out the time being here with us. So we will just take another 15-20 minutes of yours. We have small press.